Hey guys, it's Annabelle. As you can see by the title, I wrote a book at 19 years old. Oh, and I self-published it. Through Amazon, of course. My book is called Breaking Free, a guide to overcoming trauma and becoming the best version of yourself. Basically what I'm going to be talking about in this video is how I came up with the idea to write the book, what inspired it, how the writing process went, how the publishing process went, and also a little bit about what the book is. Back in May of this year, I was just sitting by myself in my room and I was thinking to myself how much all of the trauma that I've dealt with in my life had been weighing so heavily on my shoulders and how it was genuinely just controlling every aspect of my life in a very unhealthy way. Like, everything I had gone through was controlling my every move and every decision, and I felt like all of the things that I was doing wasn't for me, but it was to prove everybody else wrong. Now, yes, of course, that is a good way to start and a good motivator, but at the end of the day, I should be doing the things that I want to do for myself and myself only. So that same night that I was just thinking to myself, I decided that I wanted to write everything that I had gone through down on my laptop, but I didn't want to waste time writing everything I had gone through if I wasn't going to have a physical version for myself to keep with me for the rest of my life. So before I started writing, I decided to research if there were any websites that I could actually get my book physically printed, and I came across Barnes & Noble Press, which is a website through Barnes & Noble where they let you print either a personal copy of something you've written or you can actually publish it on their website. So once I found out that I could actually have a physical copy of what I wrote, the next day I started writing. Now, the entire writing process itself took an entire week, I would say, which I know to a lot of other authors that does not sound like a lot of time, but at this point it was my first draft and I didn't expect it to really go anywhere. This was just something for me. So it didn't really take me that long to write because I didn't really have to think of anything. It was just whatever was in my brain already. At this point, it really was just my life story. I had used everybody's names. Everything I said was very blunt and straight to the point. After I was done writing it, I immediately uploaded it to Barnes & Noble Press and I ordered my personal copy. It did take about 2 weeks to get here, but once it was here, I was so excited. I was so excited to see all of the hard work that I had put in, and I ended up with this. This is the first draft of my book. Once I had gotten my book, my mom obviously wanted to read it, even though she knew pretty much everything that I wrote about. There definitely were some things in my book that she had no idea about, and that is partly why I wrote it. I felt like there was a lot of things that I had gone through that I felt completely comfortable talking about in any aspect, but there were a lot of things that I had gone through that I had never said out loud, and that obviously isn't healthy when those things happened years and years ago. So she actually started reading my book when I was going to a job interview at the time. She had to drive me for some reason, I forget why, but she drove me and she knew it wasn't going to take long, so she was reading my book while she was waiting for me in the car. When I had got back to the car, she was 2 chapters in, and the first thing she said to me was, "Wow, why are you in nursing school?" She goes, "You really need to drop out and just become an author." Now, obviously I wasn't just going to drop nursing when that is something that I've always been passionate about, but I can definitely see myself doing writing as a side hobby. But she was just really impressed with all of the words I used, how I worded things, how I went about it, and she thought that my book could actually help a lot of other individuals. I have gone through a lot, and I'm sure every single person that picks up my book can relate to at least one thing. Maybe not all of it, maybe more than what I wrote about, but definitely at least one thing. Once she had actually mentioned publishing the book, I was definitely a little bit nervous. It was something I thought about while I was writing it, but I never thought that it would become a reality because everything I wrote about in my book is incredibly vulnerable, and it would take a lot of bravery for me to actually put this out there for the world to read. My first draft was just a memoir. As I said, it was just my story. There was no self-help aspects to it, maybe a couple sentences here or there, but it was mainly a memoir. But once I actually got in my head and decided I wanted to publish it, I needed to turn it into not only a memoir, but a self-help book. So the first thing I did was I went through what each chapter was about, and I then decided what I wanted the target goal to be for each chapter. Basically what the reader would take out of each chapter and use to help themselves. This process, I would say, probably took another week. I also had to go through and change all of the names in my book. Even my family members, I decided to change their names. The only name in my entire book that is the actual name is my own. Now, the reason I did this is for everybody's privacy, but also for my own safety. So after I had completed the inside content of the book, I had to adjust the cover a little bit. Now, the cover on my first draft is the same as the version of the book that you can buy on Amazon. I actually don't have a copy of that one with me right now, which is really unfortunate, but as I said, it looks the exact same. The only difference is there's actually a description of the book on the back. Now, I recommend that you do read the back of the book because some of the topics that are talked about can definitely be triggering. So I definitely want to make sure that you read at your own discretion and just don't read anything that is going to trigger you. My intention in no way is to trigger somebody. My intention is to hopefully have somebody read my book and learn from it. So when it finally came around to the day that I was going to publish it, I was feeling a little bit apprehensive about it. So I was definitely nervous about people I knew in high school reading it, family members reading it, and just seeing what kind of feedback I got was definitely very scary. Eventually, I decided I was just going to publish it anyway, because at the end of the day, my goal was to at least just help one person. It only took about, I would say, less than 24 hours for my book to actually be published on the Amazon website. And the one thing I have taken out of publishing my book is that you are not alone. Now, I mentioned this concept in my book a lot, but I don't think I truly understood it until after I published my book. So, with that being said, that is my book. Well, a very brief summary of my book. There's definitely a lot more that went into it, and definitely a lot more in the book. But if you truly think that this book is something that you could use, or if it's something that you feel you are just interested in reading, then I definitely recommend that you do. It is on Amazon and it will be linked down below. But yeah, so that is all I have for you today. Please subscribe if you want to see more content related to nursing school, lifestyle, reading, and little vlogs. Bye!